East Carolina this coming Saturday. The game will be at 2:30. That will be on ESPN Plus. So we're going to preview the specifics of this game for this week. And we're going to recap what happened last week against South Florida. So let me go ahead and switch this out. Okay, we got if I'm in here, let me know. So if you see me, let me know. Okay, we all set up. Okay, we all set up for so let's go through the what happened on the scoring plays. The first scoring play on the drive. Let's give you those. I'm gonna put it up a little bit. Okay, let's go over to switch it. Okay, East Carolina went on a 6-play, 75-yard drive. That was in the first quarter. They scored on a 60-yard touchdown pass from Alaire and made it 7-0. Then East Carolina scored on a 22-yard touchdown pass. So it was 2 passes in a row, 12 plays, 64 yards, made it 14-0. And then East Carolina came back with another 74-yard pass. This is from Alaire. If I'm saying his name right, 3 plays, 98 yards. Also, East Carolina scored on a 21-yard pass. That was in the second quarter. That took 7 plays, 51 yards, and it was 28-7. Then East Carolina scored on a 5-yard run for a touchdown. Point after was missed. 1 play, 5 yards, and no time or 5 seconds off the clock. Also, Johnson had a 14-yard touchdown catch, 6 plays, 55 yards. And then East Carolina once again scored on a 9-yard pass for a touchdown. That was on 9 plays and 75 yards. So that was their last score of the game. So the final score, East Carolina wins 48-28 final score. In their game this week, last weekend. So East Carolina is 1-1 in the conference. So let's go over some individual stats. Okay, individual stats. Rushing Gunn had 15 carries, 61 yards. Harris had 11 carries, 40 yards, and Holton Herders had 4 carries, 17 yards. Also, Herders had 31 and 41 passing. He had 465 yards. He had 6 touchdowns and 1 interception. Now, the wide receiver core, Johnson had 7 catches for 97 yards. Jones had 6 catches for 84 yards. Winstead had 6 catches for 73 yards. Calhoun had 5 catches for 44 yards. Harris had 3 catches for 40 yards. And Johnson had 2 catches, and then Gunn had 2 catches. So that was in last Saturday's game. Now the all-purpose yards was went over to Johnson. Johnson had 197 receiving yards. His all purpose was It just keeps going in and out. Sorry about that. Okay, rushing yards. East Carolina ran for 110 yards on 30 attempts. That was on 30 attempts, 110 yards. Passing, they had 465 yards. They had 6 scores through the air. Also, they went. Their offensive yards was 575 yards to 455 yards. That was in last week's game. They only had 3 penalties. Also, their let's go over to their possession time. Time of possession, they had the ball for 30 minutes and 46 seconds. South Florida 29-14. First quarter, they had it for 10:04. They also had it for 7:22 in the second. They also had the ball in the third, 4:59. They also had the ball for 8:21. Also, they went 6 for 13 on third down conversions. Fourth down, they went 3 of 3. Red zone efficiencies, they went 4 out of 5. They had 4 scores out of 5 attempts. So that was in the red zone. The red zone chances, they had 5 touchdowns and no field goals. So 5 touchdowns and just no field goals. So that was turnovers and downs. They had turnovers. They had 7 points off of turnovers in the game last week. So that was in last week's game. So let's go over to their next. Let's go over their drive summaries. Okay, East Carolina had the ball in the first quarter. They had a punt on 5 plays, 18 yards. Then they had the touchdowns. And then they had a punt on 4 plays, 11 yards. They also had a punt on 3 plays and 3 yards. Then they also fumbled the ball 4 plays and 10 yards. That was in last Saturday's game. It took 1 minute and 51 seconds off the clock. That was in the game last. Now, South Florida, East Carolina did make them punt 1, 2, 3, 4 times. That was on 3 plays, 4 yards, 3 plays, 2 yards, 3 plays, 3 yards, 5 plays, 4 yards, and also 3 plays, 9 yards. Now, the only touchdown they gave up was in the second quarter. That was on 2 plays at 9 yards. And also, in the third, they had 6 plays and 75 yards. They gave up a touchdown. And also 8 plays, 56 yards. And also 10 plays and 75 yards. So that was in last Saturday's game. So that was their game breakdown. So it's so once again they win 48-28 is your score. So we're going to go ahead and break down their stats. So let me go back to get those stats up on the screen. I'll put them up in a second. The averaging and stuff. Let me grab those stats off the screen. So it looks like they don't have the current stats. I got them right here. So we'll look at them on the screen. Okay, let's go over the game breakdowns. Okay, game by game. Their once again their total offense is 431 yards, but opponents, they have 1835 against them. Now, let's go ahead and give you the opponents. Okay, also they average 35 points a game while giving up 20 points a game. So that's their average. When they now first downs, they have 120, but they also give up 94 first downs as well. So 94 first downs. And also the yardage, they average 172 yards a game. That's 5.1 yards a pop. They have 9 touchdowns and only give up 3 on runs. Now, passing yards, they have 15 touchdowns a game. They're averaging 314 yards a game. They also give up 238 yards, total yards of offense. East Carolina averages 6.9 yards for a pop. That's 486 yards a game. The defense gives up 367 yards in total offense. Now, the time of possession in games, 34:09 to 33:51, excuse me. Also, their third down conversions, they're at 51%. So this is the number we have to be totally aware of with East Carolina. Stays on the field longer. They're at 51%. Now, they go 8 for 11 on fourth down conversions. So they're going to go for it on fourth down on those plays. Now, sacks per game, they're at 8. So they're at 8 on defense. Offense gives up only 7 a game. So they give up 7 a game against opponents. Now, the red zone efficiency, I'm going to show you the red zones. Okay, red zones east. And also, red zone touchdowns, they have 16 out of 23. That's 70%. So they're pretty good. Now, the defense gives up 63%. That's 10 of 16. Also, red zone scores, touchdowns, they give up 6 out of 16 for 38%. That's in games. Now, their defense, their sacks, they have 8 sacks a game. So they're definitely getting to the quarterback. So their main guy that's getting to the quarterback is they got a lot of them. They got Hickman, Barry, Smith, Lewis, Morris, Mims, Ware, and also Robinson gets to the quarterback in games. Now, the pass defense, they have 3 interceptions for 43 yards. So they're pretty good going to intercept the ball. Now, the pass breakups, they have 20 pass breakups a game. Now, their quarterback hurries are pretty consistent. They have 8 quarterback hurries in games. So that is in football games year after year during the week's time. So I say this is a very, they can't see me. This is a very good East Carolina ball club, 3-2, 1-1. I mean, I'm surprised they're not 4-0. So that's something right there that we're definitely going to have to be aware of when it comes down to those games. So we did break down the stats. Okay, your main guys, let's go over the individual stats. I'm going to pull that up on my screen. Okay, individual stats for East Carolina. I'm going to focus on East Carolina, and we're going to hold this up a little bit so you can see it. Once again, Harris is their main ball carrier. He's averaging 3.6 a game. Then you got Mitchell is averaging 8 and then you got Hoyer's Houghton Ayers has 30 carries for 81 yards, and then Gunn 144 yards on. Please bear with us. We're trying to make sure these connections stay on. Also, let's give you their wide receiver core. Winston has 34 catches for 475. Johnson has 22 catches for 420. Jones has 20 catches for 203 yards. That's 4 touchdowns. So your main wide receivers are going to be he definitely can make some catches when it comes down to it. Now, your all-purpose guys is Mitchell, Winstead, Johnson, Harris, Jones, and that's your main guys. That's the all-purpose people. So that right there, I'm gonna tell you, that's a pretty good assessment when it comes down to it. Now they're so we did break them down. So once again, this is concludes the breakdown, stat breakdown, and then we're going to run film on them after that.
Coming out, and it's great. We had a good workout today. We've moved on. It's one of the tough things for us as coaches is you work so much after a ball game, and this one was on Friday. Just looking forward to the next ball game, but we got a great opponent coming in with East Carolina. You know, a 5-year starting quarterback for him. He's going to probably have all the records in the AAC by the time he gets done this season. A great group of receivers, big guys, great running back, really potent offense, and they're playing great defense. So we've been working hard on those guys, and very happy with the ball game last Friday. I was very impressed with our grit that we displayed as a team. Our guys fought through a lot of adversity during the course of the ball game, and not very often you get down to your third quarterback and the W and start off 1-0 in conference play. Anybody have any questions for me? Justin is, we're going to find out here in the next couple of days exactly where he's going to be at. We feel like Michael's going to have the opportunity to play this week. Yeah. He looked all right. I haven't had a chance to really talk to him, but we feel, practicing the same as game, and we're being careful of what we're throwing at him right now, but hopefully he's going to be fine Saturday. I thought he showed great composure, on the sideline. He did a good job preparing in the week. I tell those guys, if you're third team, you're 2 plays away from being first team, second team, 1 play away. He comes from a really competitive high school. He's from Carthage, Texas. I'm not exactly sure what his record was in high school. I think he might have been 38-0. I don't think he lost a game in high school. And incredible statistics, touchdown interception ratio. He's, the schools, and watch him in person. You couldn't go to the games. So that made it difficult, but we got on him at the beginning of the year all the way through, and you couldn't go out for spring ball, watch him in spring ball. So a little bit different here, but he's got the frame, size, speed. Obviously played at a high level of high school football over there, and very well coached in high school. And and then he had the experience last year. Dislocated his finger in that game and wasn't able to play the fourth quarter and was out the rest of the year, so we redshirted him. It's a little harder than people think it is sometimes, especially when they have 4 or 5 really good receivers. So you just got to understand the routes that he got open on, and everybody's got to tell, everybody's got to tip. We got to look at that and see if that. You never know the path to victory, and sometimes it's more defense than it is offense, or vice versa. But yeah, we're going to have to score points on Saturday. There's no doubt about that. They've got a very potent offense, and you know, and we're going to have to do a great job because they got a very controlled passing game that they'll also take some shots on you. I don't think so. You know, I really stay even keel throughout the season, and you know, we just there's plays to be made. There's some good things we did in the Southern Miss game. There's some things we didn't do as well, and you know, we didn't play well enough to win the game. But you got to move on. If you know, the week before we, you know, had a real good game, and the next week wasn't as good. You got to move on. Every game's its own entity. Had a big win over an SEC program, and I'm talking about Kansas State. So they were penthouse, out of house, back to penthouse. You know, and best way for us to get back to penthouse, win a ball game against Houston. You know, so got to move on, and you know, that's just what you got to do. There's only 12 of these opportunities. You know, it's after this game at about 5:30, 6 o'clock on Saturday, we'll be halfway done with the season. Man, it happens like this, quick. You know, so you know, you just got to focus on the task at hand. You know, until you said that, I hadn't really thought of it. Yeah, you know, you know, and I am very optimistic, and you know, I felt that way last year too, coming into the season. But we you know, we got some good players at certain spots that can help you out a bunch, and you know, so you know, I like the way our guys are competing, and you know, we feel like we got an opportunity from, you know, the whole year to, if we play well, you got to hit that. That's a gimme field goal, and we're you know, we got that job open right now, and we're competing for it, and we'll see who our field goal kicker is on Saturday.
Well, just make sure it reconnects.
We're going to see. He kicked today, and we'll see how he keeps going. We're going to extend his range a little bit, but he's a possibility as well.
Reconnect.
There's a lot of things that contributed last year, but you know, number one, I didn't do as good a job as I needed to as a head coach, and we didn't coach as well as a staff, and we didn't play as well as we needed to, and you know, you factor that in along with all the other things that we had going on. It made for a tough year, but you know, those are all excuses. Matter of fact, I actually got Bill Parcells, one of my heroes, and I don't know, a month or two ago, Mike Tannenbaum. I'm sure some of you know, he's a Tulane Law School graduate. He was here, and I'd said something about Coach Parcells, and he called him up, and I got a chance to talk to him for about 5-10 minutes, and good conversation. You know, I got a quote up in our office that's attributed to Coach Parcells about how winners gather as a group and, you know, and talk and work through problems, and losers get in small groups and, you know, gripe and bitch and moan about everybody else. And that's Bill Parcells' quote. And that's the reason why Mike called him, you know. And so he kind of told me the history of where he got that quote from, which was kind of interesting. Anybody else? Thank y'all. Coach Hunter's coming up here.
Okay, Coach Sloboda. We're going to hear from Coach Sloboda. Let's hear from him. And then we'll hear from the East Carolina coach.
Well, you want to try to follow the game plan. Everybody's got the game plan, and you know, Kai was prepared to execute the game plan. But you also want to put him in a position to be successful and do the things that you feel like he does the best in the game. So, and I thought that as it went along, I thought he did better and better and felt more comfortable. It's a pretty tough spot to be thrown in, right away, and in that venue and that stage, and I was just real proud of how he handled it. I thought he handled it really well. There's some things he'd like to have back, and have some throws that he'd like to have back. But overall, I think he executed the plays well, and clearly did a great job down the stretch. It says a lot about all our guys on offense. It was a really frustrating second half because on top of not executing that well, we didn't have the ball very much. I think it was, I don't know what it was, 21-9 in terms of time of possession, 21 minutes to 9. I think they had an 18-play drive, and if it's not going well, you want to get back out there, and when you don't have that opportunity, it really can test you. And so I thought all the offensive guys, the leaders on the offense, did a great job. And then, Kai held it together well. And just, we kind of have a saying, you're one play away from a beautiful day, And so there's no reason to, nobody's smart enough to be a pessimist, So just keep plugging away, keep playing, and good things will happen. You can't really have that mentality. Clearly when you're trying to win a game from behind, you don't want that sort of I can't make a mistake mentality. And it was fun to see him sort of just push through those early kind of jitters and do what he had to do to win the game. So we get a chance to talk in between every series too, and I've never felt like during the game was a time to really get after guys. Most of the time I think guys don't say, considering the situation, I think I'll just look like garbage in front of 40,000 people, So you just got to get them focused on what's coming up and be positive for the most part. That's a good way to put it. So we had, a lot of those plays like that, your 2-point plays and some of your special plays, you practice them a lot. Sometimes you don't, that situation may not present itself during the season, This is kind of crazy how it can go. Like we've done a lot of quarterback sneaks where you might go 4 or 5 games and not be in that situation where you need to have one, and then we were in it like 6 times in the first couple of games. So so you just have them in the vault. Exactly. And now basically that came down to that was what we talked about was this is a 2-point play, right? The ball's on the 3. It's it's all or nothing. You got to have it, and that's basically what it was. It was kind of a perfect time to use one of your 2-point plays, and that's what we did. We have a good vault of 2-point plays because now, as you know, after the second overtime, you have to go. Everybody goes for 2, right? Or is it the third overtime? Start of the third, you go back and forth. So I'm not sure you can have too many of them, right now. So clearly, teams will be preparing for that one. I'm not sure that it would be all that smart to use that one again for a while, but you never know. I think he's looked really good this week, So it's you want to be strategic with it. And it's about right. I think what I try to do is, put it back on the kids. Like, look, we got to be smart here. We want you ready for Saturday, and you got to trust that the kid is, doing that and not pushing it too much. Because a competitive kid like that is, they're going to want to get out there as soon as possible, and sometimes they can push it too far. So you just got to be intelligent about it. He made a couple of really heady plays, and that was one of them. I tell you, the kid has uncanny instincts. He's got great arm talent, and he really can process fast. And in the back of his mind, I mean, you don't talk about, okay, if the guy's mugged up and his back's turned to you, go ahead and throw it over there because you're going to get a PI. That never came up. It was like, we're going to go out there like we're going to block the guy, and then we're going to run right by him. And then all of a sudden we get engaged, and there's nowhere to go with the ball. He just made an instinctual play that, resulted. No, not really. I mean, that preceded me, obviously. I just know that I think there's probably more FBS quarterbacks than there are scholarships. I've felt that. I think kids are really talented now because of the things they're doing in the summer, and everybody's got a quarterback coach and all those kinds of things. And sometimes there's just not enough slots, and now you have the transfer portal, because some of the bigger programs will have 5, 6, 7 kids on scholarship. Well, only one guy can play. And so they get to the point, and I mean, I'm not telling you anything you don't know. It's musical chairs. Unless you have an effort problem or something like that, it was like, okay, what do we need to do? What are they doing? What are you seeing out there? Okay, let's formulate a, first series coming out. Make sure that we're going to execute at a high level. So, rarely have I erupted at halftime. And usually when it is, it's maybe you're playing somebody that your team's overlooking and they need a little something extra, but mostly it's just like, all right, let's put this thing together for the second half and make sure everybody's on the same page.
Okay, once again, that's Coach Swoboda. And we go over to the coach from East Carolina. So let's go over to East Carolina coach and with his presser.
It's time.
How's everybody doing? Obviously, solid weekend down in Florida. With everything. I think first off, just what an incredible job by Jake Kirkendall, Ryan McManus, and our operations smoothly. And Allegiant did a great job with our flight and keeping everybody safe. And what turned out to be a great day for the Pirates. A big road win, conference opponent. Really pleased with the performance on the day. So good to get that first conference win, first road win. But not much time to celebrate that with what we have coming up this Saturday night. And you look at the schedules in the off season, and I knew this was going to be a tough game going to New Orleans. I felt pretty strongly that Coach Fritz would have a pretty good bounce back year this year, and obviously he's off to an extremely strong start. I know he is kicking himself because he probably thinks he should be 5-0 football team, very solid in all three phases. If you needed more evidence, playing without your starting quarterback last Saturday or last Friday night in Houston and knocking off the Cougars, that's an impressive win. So I was very impressed with them. Like I said, all three phases. Defensively, I think they're in the top 10 in the country in multiple categories. Top 5 in several. So defensive unit in the country, maybe one of the better, if not the best, defensive unit in our conference. So we'll be challenged Saturday night. We do expect Pratt to play. Just everything that we've kind of gathered. So we're preparing for that. But I was very impressed with the young quarterback last Friday night. So I thought he handled everything very, very well, and obviously played real well in the second half and in overtime to get the win. So tough test for us. We've got to continue to improve and continue to build on our performance last Saturday, and try to put together our best game of the year this Saturday afternoon in New Orleans. Questions?
With CJ losing his grandmother, was there any point last week where you weren't sure if he was going to play, and then for the guys to rally around him at the game he did?
It's something we've kind of been supporting CJ for a couple of weeks now, in anticipation that this could happen. And when it did happen, we offered all the support that he needed. I think that he was as prepared as you can be for this. It's obviously very emotional for him because she was a huge part of his life. But one thing that he was very clear with us about would play, and what an incredible performance. Can't say enough positive things about it for him, and just so happy for him. But just what a great way to honor someone that was a huge part of his life, and just doing that for her on Saturday.
Another great goal line performance by the defense, Coach. What can you say about the grit they continue to show right in the goal line situations?
Well, I think the play in the first half, it's 14-0. South Florida drives the length of the field. They've got it inside the 5-yard line. Julius Wood makes a great strip of Bohannon, and Xavier Smith recovers in the pile right there. Huge turning point, again, 2-yard line or whatever. But then, that there in the fourth quarter is as big as it gets. 8:06 remaining. It looks like Michael Dukes has scored to cut it to 13 points. They review it. He didn't quite get in, so they've got it on the 6-inch line. And for us to stand and turn them over on downs, that in combination with the offense's ability to get it off the goal line in that situation, that was the ball game. Because I'll be honest, I didn't feel comfortable if the game was put with, or I felt like they would with 8 minutes to go. But to be able to, to turn it over right there, and then our offense respond with, a 6.5-minute drive to never give the ball back to them, that's pretty impressive too. But I think just that sequence there at the end of the game was the story.
So it sort of going off on the defense, Julius Woods forced fumble. It was just like a pursuit play, right? And it kind of comes around the edge. Is that just sort of how this defense is just playing together, just kind of not stopping the guy goes around the corner?
Well, it was a called pressure, so he was the edge blitz away from him. Anything coming at him, he should blow it up. So I think it's one, a good play call. Two, I think it just shows his athletic ability and his tenacity to run it down and not only get it on the ground, but we work it a lot. But it takes a lot to execute in that setting right there to punch the ball out as he's making the tackle.
Coach, your team obviously rallied around CJ last week. Now it's Raji's injury, maybe one of the topics of discussion. How's he been since the injury, and what's his prognosis?
Well, he's obviously very disappointed, as we are. And, my heart sunk for him on the field Saturday because down deep I knew, we wanted to get the test results to confirm. But, and I think just everybody's rallied around him. I think it's a good word for it. He and I have had a couple of talks. I've talked to his parents. We're going to support him. He's such a people person. I'm probably more worried about him mentally than I am physically. He will make a full recovery. He'll wear the purple and gold and be a great player for us again. Just not tomorrow. My biggest concern right now is just making sure we get him healthy and support him mentally through this process. He's just such an incredible young man. There's so much more to him. There's a lot to him. So, he'll still be a positive impact on our roster throughout the rest of the season. It'll just be in different ways.
You talked about offseason, you guys were pretty fortunate last year avoiding injuries at running back, and it was kind of inevitable, maybe not to this extent, but you guys prepare for this clearly. Just talk about the rest of the running back room and how guys will have to step up with Rajay going down.
Well, obviously, a lot of it's going to fall on Keaton. Very positive manner. So you'll have more on his shoulders right now. Camaro Edmonds has continued to improve throughout the year. So obviously you'll have some weight on his shoulders, and I think he's prepared for that, excited for that. And then you'll have some other guys that will have some opportunities. So it's why you have opportunity. That we all remember the day that we got our first shot, and you just got to make sure you're prepared for that shot. And so there's going to be some guys that are going to get their opportunities here, over the balance.
His running abilities. I'm kind of curious what you think of his pass protection responsibilities now. That'll be more, important.
I thought he did a really good job on Saturday. Multiple times he was matched up on linebackers. He was matched up on a lineman one time. Stood in, did a good job. He'll have to continue to improve that piece.
Okay, that concludes tonight's coaches press conference. Also, this concludes tonight's Tulane preview versus East Carolina this Saturday. I'm going to say this about this Green Wave offense. They're going to make some plays in this game. So I say continue what you're doing, not give up a single inch of this game. Because if you don't, East Carolina will take advantage of it in a heartbeat. So talk here on YouTube and Facebook. Sorry about the disconnections with the internet. It happens, but we stood on the air. So once again, everybody have a good rest of your Wednesday. And we'll be back tomorrow to preview Southeastern as they play.